Hey guys, this is Jess from Jess Makes a Mess, and as you can see, I'm in my messy room. So I am going to use my Bond Ultimate Sweater Machine flatbed knitting machine to make a mermaid. I had a successful go at making a unicorn, so I'm going to use that same process to show you how to make a mermaid, a stuffed mermaid. So let's start. I have my supplies ready and I knit. This is going to become my cast on rag. It's going to make it easy for me to take my knitting on and off of the machine. So it's kind of like a cast on comb, but it's going to be more permanent with a fixed number of stitches because it's 50 that I use most often. So I'm ready to start knitting my rows, and I'm actually going to start by knitting these 50 rows deep. I have my counter, so it's time to reset everything. Okay, so the reason why my counter is set off to the side like this is because when my shuttle goes across, I am going to have my my panel is going to graduate into smaller kind of pyramid style, and I'll show you how I do that. But because of that, I can't have my stitch counter in, or my row counter in the center. It's going to be thrown off by where my material is. So at the end is where I'm going to go to make sure I count my rows. So I'm going to do my first 50 rows of my choice flesh color. This is how our pattern is going to work up. As you can see, it starts out wide and then steps down, steps down. So we start out with 50 of our needles casted on. We do 50 rows for the head, 50 rows for the body. Then this right here will be in green. This will be your tail, same thing, 50 rows are casted on, 50 for the body. And as you can see, I'm just working all of this in one continuous panel, okay? At the end, I'm going to cinch this in so that the head differs from the body. It kind of makes a little neckline. But these, see how these have a solid line in between? I'm going to be cutting all of these apart and running them through my serger. And then tubing them later. If you have round knitting machines, you may be able to do this without using a serger at all, because you could do your head and torso and tail right on an Addy or a Centro machine. And then there is a 22 pin machine that's round as well, so you could do your legs that way. Or you can knit in a panel for using smaller numbers like this. So whatever you have for your knitting machine, you should be able to rig something very similar. So I am at 50 rows, and now I'm going to reset my counter. Oh, I shouldn't have moved the 0. That was perfect. So I'm going to reset the counter, and I'm going to do another 50 rows. It might be a good idea at this time to put in kind of a lifeline. So if you want to take a piece of some other contrasting yarn, you could even use the same thing going through all of these stitches, because later we're going to cinch a neck. So if that's something you want to do, it might be a good idea to do now. I've worked up my next 50 rows, and now I'm looking at my drawing here, and the only other thing that I have that is 50 wide is going to be the waist of my tail. So I'm going to do another 50 rows on 50 needles, and I'm going to make that in green. So I'm going to cast that on now. Well, I'm going to continue this in green. I've done 50 rows on 50 needles in green, as you can see. Now I need to step down to 40 needles. So I am going to cast off the first 10, and then I'm going to only continue knitting on 40. So I'm going to cast off from the side that my needle is on, and there's a million episodes on how to do that through other YouTubers, so I'm not going to show you. But anyway, cast off 10, and then we're going to knit 40 rows, 40 wide. So I just did 40 rows by 40, and if you look down here at my mess under my desk, is the 10 that got casted off. So this is just 40 wide, 40 rows up and down here, 40. Now if we look at our little pattern here, we've already done our torso, we've already done our head, we've done our body of our tail, and one of our fins. We need to do another, so another 40 rows on 40 needles in the green. 40 by 40 has been finished, so now all of my tail green is complete. If you look at my little pattern swatch here of my person, I'm going to need 22 needles casted on, and we might as well work on the legs first. So we'll do 22 needles, 30 rows per leg. Right now we have 40, so we need to cast off all but the 22. So I'm going to cast off over here again so that I'm close to my counter and have 22 working needles ready to go. I've casted off these over here. I only have 22 working stitches left. I've tied on my chosen flesh tone color again, and I'm going to do, let's see, 30 rows of these 22 needles. So I'm going to reset my counter. And I went over the number again. There we go, reset my counter, and I am ready to start one of my legs. So I felt a little bit dumb, but if you do 110 rows, that equals 30, 30, 25, and 25. So that would be all the choice flesh color. So I've done that. 110 rows, and now we are going to pop these off. You don't even need to really cast them off, and we're going to take them to the serger. So here are my pieces. This is my long tail, and you see nothing here is tubed, and I need to tube everything. So I salvaged the ends here with my serger, or I serged the ends with my serger, and now I'm going to unroll these edges that are really curly, and I'm going to serge these together like I would. So make sure you're doing it inside out, so your seam goes on the inside to the wrong side. And we're going to tube everything. As you can see, my head and body are still attached. I did not detach them, and if you thought that, I misspoke. So we have our head and body. All of these are our legs and arms, tail stuff, and now we need to tube everything on the serger. Here's our tubes. So you'll see that they're all inside out, and you have them serged to put them into a tube. Now you need to flip them right side out. See how you have your serged edge? See if I can get it in focus here. You have your serged edge on the top and the bottom. Now one side is going to connect to the body, so you're going to leave that side alone. The other side, you want to take a needle and thread, or a needle and the same color yarn, and you want to catch the stitches close to the serged edge, so just below it. So I'll probably go in right about here in each and every single one. And I'm going to drawstring the ends closed. I'm going to do that for all the arms and legs. Now what do I do if I don't have a Bond flatbed machine, but I have a round like Addy or Centro? You can use those. You can use the full circumference to do your head, torso, and tail fin, body of the tail fin. For the smaller pieces like your arms, your legs, and the tail bits, you can use your round machine set into the panel mode so that you're working both directions and you're not going in a circle. And then you just hand sew things up at the end. That's also an easy thing. I'm going to make another video for another mermaid exclusively made using my Addy and sewn by hand, because I'm sure people are going to want it afterwards. So, but either machine will work. Just follow along. You'll be able to do it. You don't need a serger. You can do that by hand as well. But a serger definitely makes things go faster. So stick around, check out how we put the doll together. Here are my arms and legs. So I have the tops cinched and the ends are raw. I've stuffed them with polyfiber fill. So I've got them kind of elongated. You need to pull them and you need to kind of roll them in between your hands to get the stitches to lengthen out a little bit. Otherwise they're going to be very short and stubby. So I've got my chubby guy with his cinched in neck, and I'm going to start attaching my arms and legs just by sewing it with a needle and yarn to the body, and I'm going to tuck this underneath as I do it. My chubby mermaid is turning out pretty good. I got all the extremities sewn on. All these strings need to be tucked in, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to take my tail body, okay, and I am going to, where it is cinched down at the bottom, I'm going to attach these. Now these are my fins. I did end up cinching in both ends, and now I'm going to kind of stitch them on like this on the tail. And then I think I'm going to crochet a little cute edge here just to hide that before I stick it on. But she's cute. She's chubby. She's a cute baby. I think this would be cute for a baby doll too. So we're going to turn her into a mermaid. So I have my little girl here. I ended up doing 2 rows of double crochet around here so that I could make up for some of that kind of the serged edge that I folded over. I didn't want to see that. So I folded it over and I stitched around the top in each and every single stitch. And I did a second row. And then I weaved a chain through it to create this little drawstring. So that's how her waist is. I can untie her mermaid tail and I can pull it off. And there's her little body. She's cute. Now she needs hair. So if you look at the doll here, the hair was cut to about 4-foot segments and latch hooked up the back of the head. Now I did 2 strands at a time, and I did 2 latch hooked sections at a time on each stitch, and I worked my way all the way from the back of the neck hairline all the way up to the top of the head. And then I did a couple for bangs hanging forward. I tied them to the sides of the head. Well, I tied them at the sides of the head and braided them, but now they're loose. I need to tack them down so that they stay to the side of the head. So I'm going to stitch that to right about here so that they are not able to be moved and all of this played with. They'll be snug down. To make a Little Mermaid a top, we've crocheted 25 and a chain of 25 and did 6 rows. I then cinched it in and just tied a little string around it, and I made a chain long enough so that this could tie behind the body. So it's really, really simplistic. That's all I did. And then what you do is you bring it over to your mermaid and you just tie it around the back. Here's our little mermaid friend. Now, to make her a really cool baby doll conversion from a mermaid to a baby, she should have a little diaper on under here. I think I'm going to make a whole different video for how to make a knitted baby. So I will put that in the video when I finally get to that, but so she doesn't have anything on under her tail. But anyway, she is super, super cute and pretty easy. So I hope you enjoyed making her with me. Definitely let me know what you think and what you think our next project should be. So thanks for watching. Bye.